welcome back to the WODdoc Project365, episode 132. Out here at Sisu Fitness, Elite Fitness, Sisu Elite Fitness, okay? Anyway, hanging out with the head cheese in charge here, Amy Mandelbaum. For you guys that don't know, she's one of the masters athletes out there, 3 times game athlete. And like I said before, kind of joking around, I'm used to getting beat up by a bunch of these elite athletes because, you know, doing this type of stuff, we get to go out and hang out with some cool people. But I'm not used to doing it with somebody that's almost 50. So that is a new experience, right? The cool thing is it's even more humbling, right? And the cool thing about being humbled is humbling is also inspirational. I mean, Amy is an inspiration to everyone because she's a mother of 2, okay? She's a business owner, she's a coach, she's a professional athlete, hung out in New York Rhinos, all those type of things, and somehow she still makes time to be an elite athlete. So for those of you guys, I mean, we joke around about this all the time, say, you know, if I only found CrossFit 5 years ago, I would be, you know, the next Rich Froning or Matt Frazier or whoever else the new hot guy is out there, right? But, I mean, she's been able to do that, and she obviously didn't start 35 years ago. You know, she started when everybody else, when CrossFit got big. So, but she was able to collect and organize her life to do something that's super special and be inspirational to everybody else out there. So for that, it's inspirational. If you're not inspired by that, I just don't know what to say. You're probably in the wrong spot, right? So here's what we're talking about today, to get on to the business, right? We're talking chronic type slap tears, okay? And possibilities and ways that we can take care of those, okay, in a non-surgical manner, in a conservative way. Now, quick note, these are for slap tears that are not surgical. If you just had surgery on them, probably not what we're going to try to do. These are for the ones that we're trying to take care of conservatively pre-surgery, okay? Or just overhead shoulder type pain that might also respond to this. So, for you guys that don't know, anatomy of this, slap tears are this, right? So we have our shoulder here, shoulder bone comes into our arm bones comes into the shoulder bone, okay? And what we have is we have a little suction cup area in between that. They call that the labrum. Works just like the meniscus of your knee, okay? It makes the surface area bigger. Now, what happens is, with some overhead activities or different ways that you can rip this, we get what's called a slap tear. A slap tear means superior labral, that means the top part of the labral, anterior posterior tearing, okay? So it's a superior labrum, anterior posterior tear. And what tends to happen with that is we get anterior laxity of the shoulder. Now that means that the shoulder head wants to slide forward because the suction cup that's around it is kind of broken in the front, right? So we get this anterior laxity, humeral head wants to migrate forward. So what happens then is the muscles in the back, this whole area right back here, we collectively call that the posterior cuff, okay? Try to hangs on to the shoulder so it doesn't slide forward. Now that makes that posterior cuff hypertonic. Hypertonic does not mean strong, it means tight because it's also in pain. If I was to take Amy and beat her here with my hand, right, and cause her to bruise up at all, and then I was to have her do bicep curls with the left hand versus the right hand, most likely she's not going to be able to curl as much as the one that I just beat up because damaged tissue isn't as strong or painful tissue isn't as strong. Pain is inhibitory, right? So moving on, what we have is we have hypertonic or very tense tissue that is also weak. That allows the shoulder to drift forward, causes these impingement type syndromes. That's bad. So what are we going to do for this, okay? We are going to take the tissues that are on the lateral border of the scapula, which is basically right here, this area right here. They're responsible generally for external rotation, right? We're going to mobilize these tissues because these are the tissues that tend to get hypertonic, right? Then we're going to do some shoulder activation. Step 2 is shoulder activation, so we can increase or stabilize that shoulder position. We're trying to draw it backwards, right? And step 3, and the final step, what we're going to do is try to mobilize into internal rotation because like what I just said 2 seconds ago, the posterior cuff is external rotators. So if they're shortened, hypertonic, they scrunch up, you're going to get limited into internal rotation, okay? So just to recap, we're going to mobilize posterior cuff. We're going to exercise into external rotation, and we're going to mobilize into internal rotation. And she's going to show us how we're going to do that. Amy's going to get down here onto her side, okay? We're going to bring our one arm up. We're just kind of leave it flaccid on the ground as much as we can, okay? We're just taking this foam roller here, okay? And we're taking it onto the lateral border of the scapula, that's the outside border, and we're just going from the top of the armpit all the way down to the bottom inferior angle of the scapula, okay? Now, this one works pretty good because it has all these nudges and ridges and it works like a whole bunch of balls put together. So I like this one. You can use any foam roller you want though. So what the goal is, spend 2 to 4 minutes here, okay? She can move up just a little bit if she wants and find that wonderful position of pain, but lateral borderoscapular mobilization, 2 to 4 minutes. Once we do that, we're gonna come up, okay? We're gonna go directly over to here. This works much like the crossover symmetry, except it's kind of homemade, okay? Now, one of the things that we were talking about, the things that people do wrong in crossover symmetry, is they get these big hyperextended positions like this, right? And they kind of look like somebody that's at an 8th grade dance. So here's what's gonna go on. We're gonna change this just a little bit, right? We set up a cord about knee height, hip height, whichever one it is. The first one goes through like this, next cord goes through that one, and now we have 2 handles. We're gonna have Amy come over here. What she's gonna do is she's gonna back up and she's gonna put her butt against a pole, and then she's gonna put her shoulders against the pole. We have a 2-step exercise here. She has her arms flossed through, her elbows come up nice and high, her thumbs are now gonna come back like she's hitchhiking. She brings her fingers out like that. We say we're gonna give her a little high 10. That's what I like to say to the kids that come in, right? Now, come back down and back. It's a controlled movement with a 1-second pause on the top. Elbows come up high first, hands come back after that, right? Great. 1-second pause and let back down. 2 things that we look for that are incorrect all the time that happen. When Amy brings her elbows up and she starts to bring her arms back, her elbows fall forward, that's a no-go, okay? Second one is when she brings her elbows back, she starts to come back, she hyperextends the crap out of the bottom of her low back, okay? That's the second no-go. That's what we're trying to eliminate when we put the pole there, right? If not, we're doing the same thing that we were doing before, okay? So we got that. We got mobility. We got stability. And now, or we got muscle mashing. We have mobility, we have muscle mashing. We have stability. And now we have mobility. Same cord, drop this one out. She's gonna come through, lace it through, same arm that she just did. In this case, she could do her right. You're gonna do both, or whichever one the symptomatic shoulder is, right? All we're gonna do is set into this position where we bring our arm to that handcuff position that's forcing you into internal rotation. Amy's gonna bring her shoulders at about a 45-degree angle so that the band pulls her in a direction that goes across her hip, rather than if you turn the other way, it comes out like that and you lose that internal rotation. Does that make sense? So, back to where we were, elbows bent, okay? We can implement contract, relax here. So what that means is Amy's gonna pull her hand to her butt, hold for 3 to 5 seconds, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and just kind of let it relax, okay? Still want to keep that elbow flexion though to keep ourselves in internal rotation. So if we did this, 5 to 7 reps with that, and that would be our little total protocol. Can you drop that? So, guys, what I want to make very clear here is this is kind of a middle-of-the-road program, okay? We have plenty of regressions, peel-back exercises, and progressions from there, okay? So basically, if this causes you pain, you're not at that progression yet, okay? We have wait till tomorrow or the next day, we have a couple peel-back exercises, much easier, okay? If this seems like cake and it's not really getting to where you're at, you're not getting that burn, remember this though, it's a burn type exercise, it's not like this total pump type exercise. You get some jacked up traps with this, way too heavy, we're going too much, we're not activating that posterior cuff, we're getting primary mover engagement, that's not what we want. So, try to keep a thought in the back of your mind about that when we're doing it. Until then, guys, we're optimizing function to optimize performance. Amy, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Give me a hug. Give me a breath.
Oh, it was fun.
Inspiration to everyone, guys. Make sure you stop by here if you're ever able to.
Please do.
Okay? All right. See you guys tomorrow.